A while ago, I made a soil moisture monitoring stick that gives you some useful information about the soil moisture level for your indoor plants. It does a great job, but it looks quite ugly stuck into your pots, and it's not easy to see from far away. This got me thinking of a way to make a better looking indicator which could give you the information you need at a glance. After throwing around a couple of ideas, I thought of making a round base for the pot to stand on, with an indicator layer which could be lit up in different colors to indicate whether your plant needs some attention. I didn't want the base to become bulky and unattractive as well, so I had to keep it as thin as possible. I decided to use a thin layer of 3mm acrylic wedged between two layers of 3mm MDF. An RGB LED on the back would illuminate the edges of the acrylic to be green when the plant was healthy and red when it needed some attention, with the levels in between being varying shades of yellow. I'll still be using the same soil moisture sensor that I used previously, only now it won't have any of the other electronics attached to it. All of the processing will be done in the base by the small microcontroller. The microcontroller I decided to use was this Arduino. It is really small, has an ARM Cortex CPU and is Arduino compatible, so it's easy to program and interface with the components. The best part is that they cost just $5. I started out by measuring the base of the pot so that I could design a new base to be slightly larger. I designed the 3 circular layers at the base and the small enclosure at the back to house the Arduino. The Arduino has a built-in USB-C port for power, so it's easy to just plug the base into a USB outlet using the USB-C cable. Once the components were designed, I cut them out on my laser cutter. I'll put a link to download the files in the video description. If you don't have a laser cutter, you can also easily cut the MDF in acrylic with a handsaw. In order for the edges of the acrylic to light up evenly, you need to roughen them out with a bit of sandpaper. I used some 240 grit sandpaper until they had an even white appearance all around. Next I glued the 3 layers together using some epoxy adhesive, and small tool clamps to hold the layers in place while it cured. While the epoxy was curing, I soldered the components together. You need a current limiting resistor on each leg of the LED and some header pins to plug the moisture sensor into. It's a really simple circuit with 3 I/O pins being used on the Arduino, 2 for the PWM outputs to the LED and 1 for the analog input from the moisture sensor. When I tried to assemble the electronic components, I saw that I'd been a bit optimistic in thinking that I'd get all of the components into the 2-layer space. So I cut an additional spacer to create a bit more headroom. Push a LED into the hole in the acrylic, not too far as you want the brightest part to be in the acrylic layer. Then glue your Arduino into the housing, glue the pins onto the cover layer and close the housing up. That's it for the assembly, now we just need to program and calibrate it. The sketch is quite simple. It just takes analog readings from the moisture sensor and then adjusts the LEDs proportionally between 2 limits. You'll need to calibrate and set the two limits up according to your own plant, as some plants need more water than others and some can survive in dry soil. Essentially, you want the LED to be red when you need to water it and go green once you've given it enough water. In my first revision of the sketch, I just updated the LEDs with the value read in from the sensor. I noticed that there was some variation between measurements, and every so often there was a value significantly higher or lower, which caused a weird color flicker to occur. So I switched to a moving average system, where the average of the past 10 readings is taken. This produced much more consistent results and a slow fade when you water the plant. You've now got a smart base for your indoor plants, which shows you at a glance when your plant needs to be watered. The indicator will slowly go red again over the next few days as the soil dries out. If you're going to use yours in a really sunny room, then you'll probably want to add 2 or 3 LEDs and possibly another layer of acrylic to brighten the display a bit, else you'll only be reminded to water your plant at night. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more tech and electronics projects, tutorials and reviews.